I've been kind of indifferent for a long time about LeBron James and what he represents. I've never liked him. I always found his shtick to be very manufactured. He's an all-time great player, but he's not the second greatest basketball player of all time, despite what people may think. He's a top 10 player. I'll put him up there. But the second best? No. Seen enough of basketball over 30 years to know who's there and who isn't there. And let's not even get started with what's going to happen once he's not playing anymore and people start to leak the stories about the PEDs, the manipulation behind the scenes that no one ever heard about. All of this is going to come out. Kenman, you can have your opinion, but it's wrong. He's not the greatest player of all time. I don't think Bill Russell is the greatest player of all time. The greatest basketball player of all time is Michael Jordan. This is not debatable. And if you ask me who's the second greatest player of all time, there was a lot that came behind that. Karina, it's been a while, sweetie. It's good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Kobe's an interesting player because when I talk about all-time great basketball players and the players that truly had the greatest impact, in my opinion, you cannot be one of the greatest, or you can't be up there on that level unless you're an unquestionable two-way player. What that means is you have to be dominant on both sides of the ball. You have to be as effective doing both. I know you may think that sports are irrelevant, Adin. Not in this case. We'll get to that in a second. When I think about the all-time dominant basketball players, the players that did it on both sides, I think of Michael Jordan. Bill Russell, he was as dominant as he could be defensively, but he wasn't a dominant offensive player. Wilt Chamberlain was a dominant player on both sides of the ball. They had to create rules to stop him. They did. Kareem, when he was especially in his first 10 years in the league, he was as dominant as anybody. And he would have, there were years he was averaging 5 block shots a game. Larry Bird is one of the greatest players of all time. In my opinion, he's in the top 5. People really don't know how great a player he actually was defensively. And offensively, forget it. He's as good as anybody that's ever played. Hakeem Olajuwon, in my opinion, is the best all-around center that ever played. Tim Duncan is the best all-around power forward that ever played the game. Scottie Pippen was an all-time great basketball player, but he was not the player that you went to when the game was on the line all too often. And while he is a superior defensive player, he was a very, very good offensive player, but he was not a great offensive player. Remember, this is reserved for the top guys, the guys who unquestionably have it. And I bring this up when it comes to somebody like LeBron James, because I've watched LeBron James's career. The greatest season of LeBron James's career was 2013 with the Miami Heat. And that was, I was living in South Florida. I watched a good amount of their games. He was an all-time great. But this is a guy who has had major control over our media sphere in the sports arena for many, many years. He's carefully curated his image. And there is a reason why right now he is thinking about his post-playing days and what he's going to do. And who is it that he's going to work with? Who is he going to get involved with? And it leads me to what I found to be one of the more unique angles of this story about why did LeBron James choose to go to Philadelphia? Because in many respects, it didn't make sense on paper. Why exactly did he choose to do this? And it kind of dawned on me that his decision to go there has a lot to do, and I'm not sure if I sent this to you or not, Ben. Let me grab it. Could have sworn that I did. But no, okay. So I'm going to read something to you guys, but I want you to see this image because this is going to tell the story. Very, very crystal clear. Ben, there is a link to the YouTube story that I put out a little over a couple hours ago. So if you can, I just sent you the link. If you want to just click it and pull that up. So I want people to see this. He was scared of a lot of things, and criticizing China was one of several. Magic Johnson is the greatest point guard of all time. He is surrounded by a number of all-time great point guards, including John Stockton, who in my opinion is two. Then you can go a lot of different ways. Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, Isaiah Thomas. But Magic was the greatest point guard. The only reason why I don't put Magic at the very, very top is because he wasn't a great defensive player. And to me, that matters. So if those are wondering, why is it that LeBron decided to choose Philadelphia? Did you get the link, Colin? Colin, sorry. That's going to happen a couple of times. It will. Ben, you got the link? I texted it to you. It should be easy to pull up. Okay. The Chosen People. For his final act, LeBron chooses the 76ers, owned by three prominent Jewish philanthropists: David Blitzer, Josh Harris, David Edelman. Who are these clowns? How are these guys involved? What is their business? Well, I'm going to tell you. I took some notes. What is it about Josh Harris, the principal owner, and his two partners, David Blitzer and David Edelman? Well, yes, if you're wondering, yes, all three of them are Jewish. That goes without saying. There's more to it than that. I am going to count the ways for all of you guys for what these three men are involved in. Here are some of the philanthropic projects the three owners of the Philadelphia 76ers are involved in. Birthright Israel, supported at one of its top giving tiers. You want to talk about who gives the most money for the, what's it called again? Birthright? The Birthright trips? These are the guys. They're three of the most influential and financially, the biggest financial contributors to this cause. Those three guys are at the very top. United Hatzalah, Israel's volunteer emergency medical service. They fund that. The UGA Federation of New York. And that is the, I don't want to make a mistake here. UGA Federation of New York. That is the, come on, what does it stand for? Can't you just spell it out? What does the UGA stand for? It's not saying. The United Jewish Appeal Federation of Jewish Philanthropies. Oh, okay. Well, that explains it. Took a little while, but finally found it. The Jewish Federation of Greater Philadelphia. The Horowitz Wasserman Holocaust Memorial Plaza in Philadelphia, from funding through construction. So they funded the construction of this building. American Friends of Magen David Adom. Israel's National Emergency Medical and Blood Service. The Anti-Defamation League, the ADL. You know, Josh Greenblatt? Yeah, they pay his salary. It's those guys. The USC Shoah Foundation, whose board includes one of the owners alongside his role as vice chair of the Philadelphia Holocaust Remembrance Foundation. Hillel International. You know, when you see those organizations pop up on college campuses, this is a big part of it. Jewish National Fund and Women's International Zionist Organization. And here comes a big one. The 48ers, not the 49ers, the 48ers, an Israeli youth basketball league that grew from a program for Ethiopian Jewish youth into more than 25 teams serving kids from underserved communities. You bet your ass I'll be going on Birthright soon enough. And a girls' basketball initiative with the Israeli nonprofit, The Equalizer, aimed at reaching parity between girls and boys' teams in Israel's periphery. Now you ask yourself, why do they go to such lengths to do this? Why do they have so many NGOs? Everything is about controlling the economic infrastructure. That is the whole premise of everything that they do. That includes every time you see some Fed slop that gets thrown out there, you're wondering why these influencers are getting paid, and then they are spewing this garbage that makes absolutely no sense. Well, now you understand why. LeBron James has a lot to answer for, and I mean a lot. Whether or not he was taking PEDs is the least of his concerns. This is a person who has frequented Diddy parties. This is a person who has spoken glowingly about the state of Israel. This is a person who has probably done a lot of nefarious things that have been kept under wrap for a very long time. And who knows if it will continue. But of all the teams he could have chosen, you can make the argument that, yeah, he chose the team which is going to be the easiest path potentially to the NBA Finals. I am not convinced of that. But let's just assume, for argument's sake, Kenman, I can't answer that question. I don't know for sure. I'm not going to say he has, and then it turns out that he hasn't. But let's be honest. If you're going to a Diddy party, is it really that different from going to an Epstein party? I guess it depends on the amount of baby oil. He did say, ain't no party like a Diddy party. What do they have on him? Why is LeBron always minding his P's and Q's when talking about China, but also Israel? He has not offered an ounce of criticism, not anything. He's never said a word about what's going on. In fact, he has spoken very glowingly about Israel. Whereas his former teammate, who was the real reason they won that championship in 2016, Kyrie Irving, is a fucking hero. They talk about that championship in 2016 like it was all LeBron, and he brought the championship to Cleveland. No, you stupid moron. He had help, a lot of help, especially from Kyrie Irving. When we talk about the all-time great players, and I don't know if Kenman is breaking my balls or he's being dead serious about saying that LeBron James is the greatest player of all time. Here's what I know for absolute certainty. If the game is on the line with 2 minutes to go and it's a 3-5-point game, or dare I say, it's a 1-point game, you have possession and you are down a point with 10 seconds to go, who do you want to have the ball in their hands with the game on the line? Are you picking LeBron James over Michael Jordan, or Larry Bird, or Charles Barkley? Heck, I wouldn't pick him over Kyrie Irving. That, to me, ends the conversation about whether or not he's at that level, because he's not. He's an all-time great. In fact, I would even put him in the top 10. But he's not the greatest. And in addition to that, it is going to be a relief when he's finally gone, because I don't enjoy basketball anymore. And this is the sport I played. I love the game. I always will, but I hate what it's become. And it is essentially like Trump has basically created politics in his image. LeBron has converted the NBA into his image. And it sucks. And now we're going to have to hear him and listen to him for the next couple of years. At least. I don't know why he keeps playing. I really don't get it. And if anybody is questioning at this point whether or not he's on the level in terms of what he puts in his body, you know, Jen likes to say very often, and it isn't just about politics, it's about life in general. People need upper management. They need somebody to cling on to believe in, that person, that's my guy. He looks out for me. He knows where things are at. Nope. It was all an illusion. I can list many different reasons. But more than anything else, LeBron James is an example of what is so very wrong with modern society in so many ways. The man is rich beyond anybody's wildest dreams. He could easily be making an incomprehensible amount of impact on the world if he really wanted to. But he doesn't. He could, again, he wants to be an influencer. He wants to be somebody that people gravitate to. But what it actually requires for you to do that, for you to be remembered, is you have to be willing to be hated. And that includes by very powerful people. And he's not willing to do that because he loves his very privileged life. He poses as somebody who actually is taking risks, but in reality, he's not taking any risks. Now you're speaking my language. That's exactly what we need. We need a lot more Michael Collins and a lot less LeBron posers. Why does everybody keep thinking I dye my hair purple? Maybe it's the ring light. You know, I thought the ring light was helping. Now everybody thinks I've got purple hair. That's funny. I am beyond frustrated with the way things have shaped up in the NBA. I'm happy for my close friends from back home that are Knicks fans. They finally got their ring. Now, and yes, he did, One Chains. LeBron most certainly campaigned for Hillary. He also campaigned for Kamala. And thanks, Ben. Appreciate you doing that, buddy. Our lovely binary fairy points out, LeBron James' estimated net worth is $1.4 billion, and yet he still plays. For what purpose? He, as much as anybody, pays attention to what the public says about him. So you really have to ask yourself, what is it that Israel has on this guy? What is it that the State Department has on this guy? I don't know. But there's no question that if there is a smoke, there's fire, this is the circumstance. LeBron James will be remembered for a lot of things. And unfortunately, so much of what he will be remembered for has yet to be revealed.